Hey, how's it going? We have another video here for you. This is the top 5 fall scents that you have not tried, but you should. I've done something similar to this in the past with underrated fragrances, underpriced fragrances, but never things that really have run under the radar like this. So as with other top 5 lists that I've done in the past, I try to do a pretty good job of running the gamut between niche scents, indie scents, designer scents, so that it's not all just falling into one category and that there's something for everyone here. So we're gonna jump right into it. These are in no particular order. They're not really one's better than the other kind of thing. They're just all there. So first up, number 5. It's gonna be from the house of James Heeley. This is called Phoenicia. Now this is a resinous, dark date and incense kind of scent. It's from his, it's not really like a private line. It's a different offshoot of his normal lines. This is an extrait. So all of them from that line, including Agarwood, there's one called Bubblegum Chic. There's a couple others with it too. They're all extraits. It's a very thick scent. When you put it on, there's a lot to it, but it doesn't perform quite as well as you might expect out of something with as high a concentration as that one. So definitely take that into consideration, but I still think it's really worth taking a look at if you're into that kind of, it's not very oody. It does have a little bit of oud in it. It's not a floral scent. It's not, you know what it's actually very similar to? If you've smelled John Varvados's original scent, it's got a little bit of similarity to that, except it's a little bit more complex, it lasts longer, and it's just a thicker, more enveloping scent because it's so highly concentrated. So I would definitely recommend trying it out. Unfortunately, it's tough to find at a discounter or at a secondhand source. So you'd have to go to the manufacturer himself, and it could be a little bit pricey, but it is worth the cost if it's the kind of scent that you like. Next up is going to be number 4. This is a designer scent. I've talked about this one once or twice in the past. It's from the house of DSquared. It is Potion Royal Black. This, I wish more designers went the route that they did here, not just in the type of scent that they created and the notes that they used, but the thought process behind it. This is a leathery, rose kind of scent. A little bit of incense in there as well. Definitely pushes the bounds of what mainstream designer masculine perfumery in the United States is like. This one, I don't know if it ever formally released in the US. It certainly wasn't in department stores anywhere. I had to go to a secondhand source to buy this, but I wish they would release these kind of scents here, because this is really good, and it's at a great price too. The retail price of this was something like 70 or 80 bucks. So I would hope that the trend that designers are going towards right now, things like Bleu de Chanel Sauvage, nice smelling scents, but really that are just fancy vanilla ice cream cones. This brings something new to the table. This brings a different scope. So again, a little bit of leather, a little bit of rose, kind of has a dirty tinge to it. Almost kind of like the word that comes to mind is almost a fetish. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but the leatheriness to it really kind of makes it a fetishy sort of scent. I don't know what that means, but it makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you too. Really good work. If you can get your hands on it, performs very well. Works best as a night out kind of scent. It's not a bombastic, over the top, you know, Le Mans 1 million sweetness kind of thing, but definitely unique, definitely something that at a lower price, you're gonna get a real good bang for your buck here. So highly recommend trying that out. Next one is going to be number 3. This is an indie house, which I have never spoken about here. This is one that is really new to me. It's called the January Scent Project. It's by a guy based not too far from me here in Massachusetts. He's just outside of Boston. This one is called Smolderose. I don't have a full bottle of it. I have this little scent vial that I bought off their website, which you can too. This is one of the most interesting scents I've ever smelled. I don't know yet if it's for me, but I wanted to include it on here because it's got so much to it that you really can't find anywhere else. Now, it comes in two different concentrations. One is a perfumed oil. The other is a normal EDP concentration. The perfumed oil is a roller ball. You have to roll it on. It doesn't really spray. The thing here, for me at least, is that there's a note in here that I've never encountered anywhere else. And that's a smoked seashell note. Seashells, like the stuff you find on the beach. I've never smelled that anywhere. And you can smell it in there. This is primarily a smoky, bourbony rose scent, but it has this backdrop of this almost marine seashell note to it that's not heavy but noticeable, and it takes it really in a very different direction. So I would highly recommend checking this one out, as well as the two others that he's released from this line. You can buy a sample set from his website. It's really cheap. I think it's like $7 or $8 for 3 or 4 samples. Definitely worth it, and very, very high quality. Again, I don't know if this one is specifically for me, but definitely worth looking into if that's the kind of thing you like. And the second one on our list, number 2, this is from another house that I have never talked about before. Sort of an indie house. This is called Akaula, from a house called Source Adage. They're out of New York State, just north of the city. This one, talk about a lot going on to it. This is a smoky pineapple leaf ginger scent. I know where you think I'm going with this. No, it does not smell like Aventus. This is not an Aventus clone, because it also has notes of coffee, green notes, and a little bit of oud in there as well. A lot to it. It smells exactly as I just described to you. It's like you took a pineapple leaf, not the juice of a pineapple, rubbed it on you, the leafiness of it, threw on some smoke, not like that birch smoke of Aventus, but actual smoke, mixed in some kind of tropical green notes, a little bit of coffee, a little bit of woodiness. There's a lot to it. Again, not gonna be for everybody because there's so much to it, because it's really complex and it can be a little bit difficult to wear, but it does bring something to the table that is very different. This is not a scent that I had tried before. I remember when I first tried this last winter, I sprayed it on a card. My face was just like, what is this? I never thought a scent could smell like that. And it does. I don't wear it very frequently because it can be a little tough to wear. It's worth it though. So again, Source Adage is the name of the house. I recommend checking them out. They have 2 other scents, one called Kian and one called Manitowoc. Check it out if that sounds like something that you are interested in. I would highly recommend it. And finally, number 1 on our list. You've heard of this house before. You've heard of this house many times on this channel before. It's our friends over at Tom Ford. No, this is not fucking fabulous. This is Japon Noir. I split this once a long time ago, back when this channel first started. And to this day it remains one of my, if not my absolute favorite from the private blend line. It's almost impossible to find since it was discontinued years ago. And to me, it really speaks to more of the direction that Tom Ford went when they first released the private blend line. This is a really innovative, different kind of scent. It doesn't make any sense. First of all, the name Japon Noir means, it translates into Black Japan. It's a non sequitur, it doesn't mean anything. There's even a note in there called a Porto Noir note. That's not a thing. It doesn't exist. I've looked it up on the internet as much as I could, and it doesn't exist. I don't know what it is. But it smells really freaking good. It's a leathery, dark, animalistic, but calming and soothe scent at the same time. It accomplishes all of those things at once. If you've tried his Plum Japanese before, there's a few similarities there. This one is definitely not as fruity as the Plum Japanese. Certainly the plum note in that one takes it in a different direction. But some of the backdrops to it go into more of what you'll find here. So I would highly recommend if you can find it anywhere. I hope as Tom Ford goes and releases a lot of his old discontinued scents, I hope this one is on his list. He's already done Amber Absolute and Bois Marquin. I hope this is next because it's really, really worth the cost and really a great example of high-end niche perfumery at its finest. Going in a different direction, taking notes that we're used to, like the leather, like the animalistic notes, and presenting them in a new and interesting way. And it's really good for this time of year, great for the fall, great for the winter. Performance is good, but not over the top. Again, it does have that soothing calmness to it that brings it back. So, Japon Noir, Tom Ford. Check it out. We do have one honorable mention here. I'm only putting this as an honorable mention because I have discussed this one a few times in the past, but in the context of this list, I would be remiss if I didn't mention it again. From Paco Rabanne, this is 1 million Absolutely Gold. In the full gold bottle here, this is 1 million all grown up. If you don't like 1 million because you think it's too young, think it's too fruity and sweet and sugary and something an 18-year-old would wear, you might want to check this one out. It has a bit of a darker tinge to it. It does have the DNA of the original 1 million, but in a much more mature fashion. Also a pure perfume here, so it performs really well. Not that 1 million needed it, but you do get more of a complex scent when you have that higher concentration. It actually probably performs a little bit less than the original 1 million. Again, not a bad thing. So I brought this one up before, but I wanted to highlight it again. Great for the fall weather, great for going out at night. This will do the trick for you. Absolutely gold. So those are the scents for this season that you may not have tried, but you really should. If you have any questions about any of them, I would be happy to answer. All right, we'll see you soon. Good to see you again. We have another piece of shit intro that I'm doing right now. How's it going? Got another shitty intro now. That's 2 in a row. We'll use that one as a thumbnail.